Hey guys, this is Illusionist Jason Bishop. I am back in studio this time, actually, reviewing another piece of magic. I am a professional illusionist. I've performed all over the world. I've toured the United States in both colleges and theaters. I've had 2 successful runs in New York City at the famed New Victory Theater on 42nd Street in Times Square, and I might have even done a birthday party or 2 in my time as well. And now, in between doing shows, traveling to shows, working on new magic, and everything else I have to do as a professional magician, I bring up videos like this online, I watch them, and I give you guys my take on them as a professional illusionist. This is a bit of a different review today. I've never done one quite like this. I originally saw this video posted on the Facebook page of my friend Richard Frigé. He's a magician from Canada. We first met at Abbott's Magic Get Together performing there, and then a couple years later we reconnected when we were both on a TV show in Paris called Le Plus Grand Cabaret du Monde. Richard's a really creative magician as well. This one also is featuring Penn Teller, who I've never actually featured on the channel before at all, but Penn Teller are great. I've seen them in Las Vegas. I've seen them in Atlantic City. Las Vegas is their home theater. I believe they perform at the Rio there. I saw them at Atlantic City. Obviously, that was a road show. And actually, tonight, they were just at a casino near me in Pennsylvania. I didn't realize that, or maybe I would have checked it out. Although my schedule is like insane right now, so I couldn't have checked it out anyway. But it looked like they had a pretty full audience. I saw some photos online. If you get the chance and you're into magic, if you get the chance to see Penn Teller, absolutely go see them for sure. I really enjoyed their stuff. They did a piece about China and flag burning and stuff one time that I saw, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite pieces of magic, frankly. It's a great piece of magic. The story was great, and when you combine a high idea with magic and just fuse them together seamlessly and create great impact both with the idea that's emphasized with the magic, that's on a whole nother level, and a lot of their stuff is on another level. The reason that this video is a little bit different than the other videos that I've reviewed on here is that the creator of this video on YouTube, his name is Teller Putzer. I think I'm saying that right. What he's done in this is he's made a composite actually of this single trick that Penn and Teller do, and what he's doing is he shows one and then he shows the other and then he composites them together, and he's trying to show that their scripting is super tight, and that is what you see in this. It is kind of extraordinary to see. Now the big question would be is how far apart were these videos shot? That's one element, but it's really kind of fascinating to see, and you might even need to watch the original video more than once to see how exact Penn is with his scripting. Penn is known as a very good communicator, and I think that's sort of the focus of Penn and Teller is, you know, Teller is sort of the brains behind the magic in a way, and Penn is a really excellent communicator, frankly, and I think he's a good magician in his own right as well. But to watch how precise he is when he's speaking and where he puts his emphasis and his pacing, it's almost freaky, honestly. It's pretty amazing. When you're doing a really high-end show like this, there is a degree of precision that you need to have a really consistent, excellent product performance. And people like Penn and Teller, they want their jokes to work, they want the emphasis where they want the emphasis, they want the trick to achieve what you're trying to achieve. You know, in his great book, Maximum Entertainment, Ken Weber mentions that you only want really 3 things out of the audience. You want applause, you want rapt attention, and you want laughter. And if you're sort of not getting one of those things, then you're not hitting your mark. You know, you want applause, we liked what you did. You want laughter, we think it's funny. And laughter is a hard one to fake. If it sounds sincere, then that's a good response. And you want rapt attention. And that's where you can almost hear a pin drop. So we're gonna watch this right now. I think it's a really excellent piece of magic, frankly. Now, it is potentially dangerous, so you should not try this at home, not try it at a friend's house, not try it anywhere. Don't try it on a construction site, that's for sure. Do not do what they are about to do here. And I think you can safely say that with a lot of what Penn and Teller do. So let's take a look at this piece of magic by Penn and Teller.
Now, this magic trick is kind of about memorization. This is a magic trick that's kind of about memorization, kind of about focus, and kind of about concentration. Kind of about focus, kind of about concentration. Now, memorization acts about a fashion for many, many years. We tried to make our version a little bit less totally cerebral by adding in a nail gun. Memorization acts have been out of fashion for many, many years. We've tried to make our version a little less totally cerebral by adding in a nail gun. And I hope you're all aware of how bad nail guns are. They're responsible for about 30,000 emergency room visits a year in the United States. We're all aware of how bad nail guns are. They're responsible for about 30,000 emergency room visits a year right here in the USA. That's compressed air over there. And that's compressed air over there. And it's forcing out the nails with a great deal of power. Certainly enough power to go all the way.
So it's pretty apparent pretty quickly that he is almost saying these lines verbatim, word for word. There are a couple little occasional filler or rejoinder words that he utilizes that are like an or just a little one or two words in the beginning of part of his scripting here and there and the breaks that are a little bit different, but there's very little. It's almost verbatim. But beyond that, what is also really fascinating is the fact that he's said this again and again and again, hundreds, maybe thousands of times, but if you listen to him, he sounds extremely natural. That's something that I pay attention to that I don't want to say a stickler for, but I always prefer entertainers who, when they're saying something that's scripted or not scripted, that they sound like they're saying it kind of for the first time. It's natural, it doesn't sound canned, it doesn't sound over-rehearsed, obviously, and I mean, he's a great communicator, but man, his voice is just so natural. It kind of sounds like it's the first time he's saying it, and we can see, obviously, it's not. So that's a lesson. That's really excellent. So let's keep going here.
Through the board and into another board and fasten them together for construction purposes. Certainly enough power to go all the way through that board into another board and fasten them together for construction purposes. But I thwarted that by putting the board on a metal table. The nails stick out a little bit. Now we're talking about memorization. And the trick looks like this. Now the nail gun is loaded right here. And it's loaded with what's called a string, which is two pieces of rigid parallel plastic.
I don't want to interrupt this. When he hit the nail gun there, I think he hit that bump, bump, bump like a beat. And it was exactly the same. I'm trying to look at these nails, if they're out the same way. They appear to be. They have it down to a T. Everything is precise about this routine. And so when a young magician is like, what separates me from these magicians? Polish. Polish separates you. And whether you look organic like this and you're using a nail gun, a compressor, which isn't some glitzy Vegas type of a prop that maybe we're used to in magic, it's still polish that separates you. They know what they're doing. They know where the routine is going. They know the impact they're looking for. And there's a build to the routine. We've just seen one of the first phases of the build of this routine. All he's doing is sticking the nails in there and he's introducing the props. Now, that traditionally would be boring. It's not boring because his scripting is pretty good, but especially because he has a compressed air nail gun on stage and he's going pow, 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 and that gets your attention, you know? So you've got your attention. And then he gets to the beat where puts it against his hand or what have you, and we go, and nothing happens. And now we know what the memorization trick really is. It's excellent. So we're gonna get back into this right now.
That hold the nails perpendicular, equidistant from one another. When you pull nails out of the string, whenever the nail gun comes to one of those spaces, it still fires the air and makes the noise, but it does not fire a nail. So all I have to do is memorize this sequence. And I can do this. That's the trick.
He's so right too, because there really are memorization tricks where you memorize magazines or different people's names or what have you, and it is very cerebral and it can be a little bit bland, frankly, but this takes it to another level. This is not bland at all. This is, you know, nail-biting and uncomfortable and a little nerve-wracking, frankly, so it's great. It adds emotion to the trick that he's doing, so let's get back in.
Now you've noticed by now that I'm not just alternating. As a matter of fact, the pattern does not repeat for the whole trick. Now, if you've seen a memorization act in vaudeville, there obviously would not have been a nail gun. It would have all been done with numbers and words. The performer would have gotten maybe 40. Single-digit numbers, yelled out by the audience, memorized that almost random sequence, and then written it back perfectly on a chalkboard while reciting. Any Shakespeare sonnet chosen by the audience. And this is the exact same trick. Just like wire walking. just like wire walking. It's the exact same trick if the tight wire is set 4 feet off the ground. If the tight wire is set 4 feet off the ground, as if it's set 50 feet off the ground. And yet,
included in the scripting are also his motions. So he goes 4 feet off the ground and he goes 50 feet off the ground. So he's emphasizing the difference in height just with his hand that way. But you can see all of that to convey the information he wants to the audience is precise and exactly the same thing. It's very impressive, and he does it so naturally. It's so great. Anyway, let's get back.
he had a little bit of danger. When you're dealing with real danger, when you have a little bit of danger to the man, that makes the whole show just a little more. Now, most memorization acts are magic tricks. They're lies. Magic tricks. They're just lies. We don't mind you knowing that, because Teller and I believe it is morally wrong to do things on stage that are really too dangerous. It makes the audience complicit in unnecessary human risk. Any doubts about this being a lie? I think that proves it right there.
That is a great, unique piece of magic. There are those tricks in magic that you see like this that you really, really wish you had thought of. Penn actually says it in the scripting right there that you shouldn't do anything overly dangerous because it's morally wrong and it makes the audience complicit in potentially hurting somebody. And that's pretty interesting, but what he's also saying is that perhaps this trick isn't actually as dangerous as it appears. And I do think that's probably the case, but then it's a pretty good illusion, frankly, because it looks dangerous, that's for sure. And I remember watching this live, like I said, in Atlantic City, and it sure as heck looked dangerous, that is for sure. It just absolutely looked dangerous, legit. It was a very good illusion. I think it was, an interesting comparison to see the scripting be so precise that way. You see a lot of comedians who really don't write this precisely, and then you see on the other spectrum Broadway playwrights who, actors on stage are not deviating a single syllable, a single word that playwright has written. It has to be done exactly. And those are different disciplines. And then on the comedy end, you've got someone like Jerry Seinfeld, who is one of the most precise writers. So he writes out his show precisely, and he wants to tweak a word or two, and so he changes that, to get exactly the effect he wants. And then other performers, they just know the gist of the story as such, and they come on stage that way, and maybe they're a little bit more improv based, or they do what's called crowd work, where you're playing off of the crowd. And so you can go see a good performer like a comedian, for instance, and a good chunk of their show can be quite different actually because of just crowd work that night. Magic has a plot line that leads up to bigger finales. In this case, he put that thing next to Teller's throat like that. So you can't really be completely organic and just do whatever you want to do on stage if you're trying to get to a particular place at the end like they're doing in this particular routine. This routine, I think, really benefits from how tightly this is scripted, because this routine is an ongoing progression. It actually has more points and more points of interest than a lot of routines do. It's a continual progression within this routine. And so when he gets to the point where he's forgotten where he's at, he can actually go back and utilize a script and sort of mouth through the script where he was like, okay, I did this, I waved to the audience, I did this, I went up here like this. And so these are all markers of the progress of where he should be at, and then he goes into his hand again like that, and he's safe, and we know he's where he should be. But that was also a really funny moment, and it was really funny because of how long he committed to that moment. It wasn't just a momentary tongue-in-cheek thing. I don't even think he was particularly trying to be funny in character. He was trying to be funny, but not in character. In character, he was trying to remember where he was at, and the more he committed to that, the more we find it a little dangerous and ridiculous. The danger makes it ridiculous in a way, and so we give an uncomfortable laugh, and it's also genuinely funny. I also think it's interesting that they transcend just magic as far as the wow of the trick. They bring ideas to it, and like I said, a point of view, and yet there's still a decent amount of respect for the magic, and that they're doing good, amazing tricks for the audience, and different tricks as well. I mean, they did a piece where they made, 1,000+ bees appear, and I think Teller was getting stung in his mouth and stuff like that. So they've definitely suffered for their art. I appreciate that. And the piece they did on SNL, if you're not familiar with that, where I don't want to describe it if you haven't seen it, look up Penn and Teller SNL, and there's a good piece they did on there that helped get their name in the early days of their career, and it's a fun, interesting, very different piece, that's for sure. Again, the video is titled Penn and Teller Are Professionals, and I think that point comes across very clearly, that these guys are working at a very high level. They're incredibly precise, they're incredibly polished, they know what they're doing, and their material has been written and rewritten to be as powerful as each piece can possibly be. And that's a lesson for any magician, certainly for myself. I look at this and it makes me want to be a better performer, that's for sure. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you do want to learn magic, or you're a magician and you need a new trick, or you want to get a magical gift for somebody, there's a link below to Vanishing Ink. It's an online magic store. You can download magic, get magic shipped to you there. It is an affiliate link, so if you do that at all and use our link, it does help out the channel a little bit, and that we absolutely appreciate. If you enjoyed this video, please destroy the like button. If you'd like to see more, then hit subscribe to subscribe and see more, and hit the bell if you'd like to get notified. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.